CBS, welcome from CBS Sports, Chris Lewis. Chris, before you sit down, let me just show you. Let me just show everybody here. So, joined CBS Sports in 2021. Currently calls games for the NFL, college football, college basketball, does college baseball, lacrosse. Served as a broadcaster for NBC's Olympics coverage, as an announcer for table tennis. I didn't know you were a table tennis expert.
I mean, you have to be when they say, hey, you're calling table tennis, so you got to figure it out. You got to learn.
It out. So the Olympics in 2020 and 2024. Previously, the voice of Boise State. Boise State in the Mountain West Network. He was also Idaho Sportscaster of the Year, so that's a nice honor. I thankfully was one-time Pennsylvania Sportscaster of the Year, so we're in the same club.
I appreciate that.
And also a South Jersey native. Literally lives with his parents live 5 minutes from here. Or 20 minutes.
I'd say closer to 20
minutes.
Yeah,
20 minutes. I'm sorry, 20 minutes.
Summerdale, Magnolia, that area. Yep.
And then he'll do some radio, he thinks, this summer for ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio, I do Sports Center all night, freelance with that, so every now and then on the weekends, you're up late trying to study for something, from 1 to 6 a.m.
And then NBA TV as well. So there's the bio, the nice CBS picture, all that. This is great. All right, have a seat. Here we go. Take this out here. All right, so
comfy chair too.
You like the chair?
Oh, it's comfy.
You comfy?
Yes.
So this is your first visit to Rowan University?
Is.
You live this close and this is your first visit?
It's hard to believe. It's grown so much over the last 10, 15 years. It's say how many what the enrollment is these days?
24,000.
That's insane.
It's almost 18,000 in undergrad, and we have 2 medical schools, a veterinarian school, a nursing school. Yeah, we're growing. We're on the map.
I'm about to say.
Chris Lewis is here. We're on the map.
I knew all about this broadcast. John Sadak, Eric Jones. Like we got a list of people who've come from this and are making their impact in the play-by-play side. So honored to be here.
And you went to Paul VI.
I did.
Anyone go to Paul VI? Right there.
Oh, I got
Paul
one.
VI?
Got 2. Right.
2.
See 2.
There you go. So Paul VI. What did you do in high school?
All right. So I actually went to Triton High School for one day. That was a public school I would have gone to. My parents kind of flipped out about the orientation there. They were like, I don't like what I'm feeling. They just got a bad vibe of the high school. So it was like that moment. It was like, all right, let's look into seeing what Paul VI is about. Tried to play basketball my freshman year. The typical tale of too short, too slow. I could shoot a little bit, but not good enough to play. So from that moment, my focus was on broadcasting. I'd gone to the sports broadcasting camps that I know Neil's been a big part of for a long time now, and I knew from that moment, from talking to a lot of the people who came in as speakers, that hey, there is this path that you could stay involved in sports. You could, in a way, still be a sports fan and get paid for it. So that's when the seed was planted. So in high school, play-by-play for the basketball games and for the football games. We did it via basically a phone call, teamline.cc. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but it was just a way to get on the air, get some reps. By the time I was a senior, they sort of built up the morning announcements, so I could do a little sports show on the morning announcements. But that was kind of it for high school. All
right, and he goes off to Syracuse University. Take us through that experience at Syracuse.
Yeah, so we were talking a little bit earlier. It's kind of a two minds. Like Syracuse is one of the schools that does have a long list of alums who have gone on to do big things, and that's what attracted me to Syracuse. But I wasn't fortunate enough to get into the broadcasting program. I got into the business school, so I was like, all right, well, I'm in Syracuse, the business school. I'll try to transfer into the broadcasting school when I get there. But let's make the leap and let's go. It turned out I never did get into the broadcasting school. My grades, you have to have basically a 4.0 GPA to make the transfer list. They do it straight on GPA. They have a cutoff. If you're above it, you're into the broadcasting school, intra-university transfer, and if you're below it, you don't get in. I never got in, but my time that I spent, especially my freshman year, and then of course going forward, was doing the student media stuff. So they have WAER, Citrus TV, WJPZ. Those are the student TV and radio stations, and I was just there all the time trying to get in the door, whatever I could do early in my career there. But as we were saying before, like there's the other paths where there's schools where there isn't a long list of people ahead of you to get to these on-air positions and to get to these production positions. So there's two different ways to go about it. For me, it was, I learned from the upperclassmen who are now doing some great things in the industry themselves. And then when it was my turn, my junior and senior year, it was our class's turn to go through the process. So, a lot of long nights, a lot of nights without sleep. Sometimes the academics got kind of pushed to the side there, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Those days were amazing, and that's just one thing when you're all here. Savor these moments in college doing this for the love of it, because it's not like this when you leave. It really was a special time.
But you still love it, though.
Oh, absolutely. Still love it. But just being in that environment where you're with your peers all the time, you're putting in the long nights together, you guys are grinding, you're maybe a little bit competitive with each other, but you're doing it with that love. Like, that environment isn't exactly what it's like in a professional environment. And I knew at the time how special it was, but in a way you didn't savor it as much as maybe you wanted to. Once you left, you realized kind of what you missed.
All right.
Unless something crazy happens, there'll be 6. Is this the most dominance we've seen from a conference in baseball in quite some time? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, first of all, I might not be the best person to answer that, because my level of, what college baseball I'm doing is typically like Patriot League and, some Big East, like Army, Navy. I've done that game quite a few times, and they're not exactly like nationally relevant competitive programs. I did go to the College World Series for my bachelor party actually a couple years ago. So like that was like my first-hand experience of actually seeing high-level college baseball. Syracuse does not have a college baseball team. I worked at Boise State for about 10 years. They do not have a college baseball team. So for whatever reason, my path in college baseball very rarely cross, except for the few games I get a year for CBS Sports Network. So kind of to answer, like, seeing the dedication that these SEC fan bases have in person when I was in Omaha for the College World Series was unbelievable. Like, they went in it, they went hard. LSU won the year that I went, and they were a dominant bunch.
Well, I have a follow-up on that. You did your bachelor party in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yes, and it was the right move. No, seriously. We needed that time of year. Like, that was the time of year that fit. I wanted to base it around a sporting event that I wanted to check off my bucket list. College World Series in Omaha, if you guys get a chance to go, make that a priority. Plus, it helped that I had a couple of cousins who live in Omaha, and they could hook me up with some places in the area. They were groomsmen in my wedding, so it just made all the sense.
That's great. That's a great story.
Yeah.
All right. Right here. Go ahead, Leo.
So you work for Boise State.
Yes.
And you also do nationally televised games. What is so different about being a broadcaster for a team and a broadcaster nationally?
Yes, there are two different responsibilities there. When you're the broadcaster for the team, you are telling the stories within the growth of the team. So you're trying to make it interesting and entertaining and informative for the Boise State fan who's trying to learn about the development of the players who are on this specific team. And you're maybe getting more into the weeds because these are people who are familiar with, Anthony Drimmick's a shooting guard, or, Jai Rodriguez is a point guard. But, what she's been working on lately, or what Anthony Drimmick, the trend that he's been on the last 10 games, those maybe are more relevant. When it comes to a national broadcast, at least for a lot of the college games that I do, I almost take it with the perspective of a lot of the audience is being introduced to who these players are via what we're telling them. So it's a more broad picture look, and you're sort of broadening the story for a bigger audience versus when you're doing a local broadcast, you're more streamlining it for the people who have been with us. You don't assume that they've tuned in every single game, so there's still the broad storyline telling, but you can get the difference there where you're not really necessarily introducing, like saying, oh, hey, here's the sophomore from Australia. Like, we're in game 30 of the year. Like, they maybe know Anthony Drimmick's the sophomore from Australia, right? So there's other things that go in it, different bosses, different roles, different responsibilities. But generally speaking, from the broadcasting point of it, I'd say that's the biggest thing.
Well, your time in Boise, it's different, right? Different than being here in South Jersey.
I didn't think that I would ever live in Idaho for 10 years. so it was a little different. But it's that leap. Not everybody's path is the same. I know for me, out of school, it was really important to remain on the air. Like, I didn't want to do the thing where I didn't have guaranteed reps and I was maybe more on the production side or trying to hustle freelance in a way where I didn't know when my next broadcast was coming. I wanted the path of get me on the air, let me make my mistakes, let me grow in that way. And to do that, you generally have to go to a small market unless you're one of the lucky few who can go out of school and be, the voice of the big D1 team or the voice of the NBA. There's examples of it with some lucky folks who have been able to make it work. But for me, no, it was Idaho Falls, Idaho, doing a 70-game short season minor league baseball team, and then Boise State, doing volleyball, gymnastics, women's basketball, whatever you can do. Because for me, I wanted to be on the air doing play-by-play. So you have to make the leap to do it.
All right there. Go ahead.
So I have a couple questions. So my first question is, March Madness is coming next week. What are your top upsets? And then my second question is, because you're a Boise State guy, what's your thoughts on Ashton Jeanty? Because he's a top running back prospect, and he goes to your school you formerly announced. And then my third question is, who do you think is the day one winner and loser of free agency so far in the NFL?
Ooh, all right. I'll go 3-1 because I kind of forget what 1 is already. So you have to remind me.
That was the March Madness.
Okay,
What are your
we'll start with 3. NFL winner free agency day 1. I mean, it seems like the Patriots spent a lot of money, right? Like all the trades and free agency signings that they did. So I probably would lean them. Justin Fields is a member of the Jets. I don't know. That kind of doesn't seem like it. $30 million guaranteed. That's a lot. I'll lean Patriots, though. They'll probably take the biggest leap. So, winners of day 1 free agency. Ashton Jeanty, what comes to mind, number 1, awesome guy. Tremendous person. Everybody who's ever interacted with Jeanty can tell you a story about how nice he was, how patient he was, taking the time. This is a dude who could have transferred away from Boise State and name your favorite big-time college football program and could have gotten a lot of money to play for them. And instead, he wanted to finish what he started at Boise State. And you just don't see that too much in college sports right now. So, awesome guy, tremendously talented running back. Saw him play in the Fiesta Bowl in person. My wife is a Boise State alum. Her parents season tickets for decades. So they haven't seen a player like him other than Kellen Moore. So if you guys are familiar with what Kellen Moore kind of means to Boise, 50-3 as a starter at Boise State, and the fact that Ashton Jeanty is in the same sentence as him tells you all you need to know. And then upsets, picks. I like Drake a lot in the Missouri Valley. I don't know what seed they're going to get. They just clinched their spot. Mountain West I cover closely. I know Boise State's on the bubble. San Diego State's sort of on the bubble. Colorado State has a good chance to win the Mountain West tournament. I like them as a group. They're not going to make it if they don't win the tournament, but if they do get in, look out for Nico Medved's offense. But New Mexico, man. Donovan Dent. That's one of those guards to look out for in March. You know how March has those guards that become stars? With Richard Pitino. Could be the year of Patinos in the NCAA tournament this year.
That's great. That's great. All right. We'll go all the way back. Go ahead, Hannah.
So, working the Olympics and working in college is like 2 different ball games. So, what would you say, some comparisons, some things you observed from working on the college level and then like the biggest stage of athletics?
It's a great question. I think one of the things that helped when it came to just getting the opportunity to broadcast for the Olympics and then going through the process of learning a whole new sport is that's what I did when I was broadcasting for a college, right? Doing gymnastics for Boise State. It's not like I had a background in gymnastics. It's not like I had a sister who was a gymnast or anything like that. So I had to learn a new sport, and you figure out your own process of learning the rules, learning how others broadcast it. If you can look on YouTube to figure out what the flow is of a broadcast, learning who to speak to get more information. So that process, whether it's field hockey or volleyball or soccer, but that college has so many opportunities to broadcast different sports allowed me to have a tape that was varied in the amount of sports that I had. So I was trading emails back and forth with NBC for about a year or two before the opportunity came to do the Olympics, but they saw the versatility that I had and my willingness to do a lot of different sports. So when they called for table tennis, of course you say yes, and then the process begins of, all right, how in the world do you broadcast this sport? Because I never, forget like seeing it on TV. I'm not even somebody who did it in the dorm room, like on the dorm floor, hitting the ball back and forth. So you dive into that process, right, of what are the rules. And NBC does such a great job of sending information to help make it easy when you have a big research team. But that's also part of the parts about this industry is that there's so many different areas to get into. The research team, the production units, they have such a huge team. Now, I didn't get a chance to go to Paris. I didn't get a chance to go to Tokyo, but Stamford, Connecticut has a big production, I don't know if you want to call it hall, building, and that's where they run a lot of the sports like table tennis, badminton, you name it. That's not like the big four, swimming, gymnastics, basketball, track. So I would say to answer the question and to wrap it up, just the fact that college gives you the opportunity to get outside your comfort zone is the biggest thing that carries over for the Olympics, because you're naturally going to be outside your comfort zone when you're doing a sport that you have no background in.
By the way, I've been to NBC's headquarters there, in NBC Sports headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. I think it's like 7 studios. It's
insane.
Those studios are pretty big too.
And they have announce booths in some of those studios, so they put like a dozen announce booths in one of those studios. They have the Olympics in LA coming up, but I don't think they're going to send any more people to Los Angeles than they would if it were in Beijing or if it were in Tokyo or whatever, because they have it down to such a science there. It's impressive. It really is.
Do you already have a commitment for?
I do not. Those Olympics are still ways away.
Well, what's next? What's our next?
Winter. That would be, where's the next winter?
Torino.
Torino.
Okay, yeah.
Or Italy.
So the problem with the winter is it overlaps with basketball, and what my priority with CBS is basketball, so they have the right of first refusal with dates. So it just, I don't think would work out for, like, they offered curling actually for the last Winter Olympics, but I couldn't say yes because
You couldn't do curling?
I couldn't do it. I couldn't
Come
commit.
on, that would have been on your bucket
It
list.
would have been a cool one to do, but I think I made the right decision. CBS ended up giving me some NFL, so they
worked out pretty good.
They let me. They didn't lead me down the wrong road.
All right, right here.
In 2028, there's going to be flag football in the Olympics.
Yes.
Do you think that's going to be sport to stay in the Olympics, or is it going to be like breakdancing and be
One and done. No, I think flag football is growing. I think that's going to be here to stay. I wouldn't be surprised if we'll have like NCAA flag football at some point within the next like 10 to 15 years, where it becomes like an affiliated sport in college. I don't know if I agree. Your opinion there, but the fact that women and men can both play, I think that it is growing and will be something that might be a staple in 20 years.
And the NFL's supporting it.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, so
Big priority for them.
so that's an issue. All right, who's next? Go ahead, Mason.
So you mentioned, like, for the Olympics, you watched the matches from Stamford, Connecticut.
Mhm.
What's the difference between watching it off the monitor versus actually being there?
It's almost like a mind trick that you have to convince your brain that you're there, even though you're not. And the other thing with it, the Olympics are long days. Like, you're only seeing a fraction of what we're actually broadcasting, of what actually makes air, is a fraction of what we do. So the other thing is just you have to have your body in a position to where you can get up at 2:30 a.m. with the time difference, and you're not getting done until like 5 p.m. And you're doing matches most of the day, one after another, after another, after another. And that's like a marathon that you have to prepare for. You can't like go too hard too fast and be worn out by the end of the day. But it's different. Like you don't know the environment. I think it was different from the 2020 Olympics to the one I did most recently. 2020 there was no crowd. 2024 there was. And that made a huge difference of convincing yourself that you're there, because now you're getting the energy from the crowd. You can hear it in the headset. But you have the headset on, your eyes are locked into the monitor. Table tennis is a fortunate game where the whole action is happening on the screen. I think it would be a lot more difficult if you're calling like soccer or field hockey, where the field of vision is so large and the camera isn't giving you the perspective of what else is going on. So to speak to somebody who's done those sports, I think would probably be a much more difficult challenge. For me, table tennis, 4 at the table, 2 at the table, you can see them. You can see the ball going back and forth. So I don't think it's as big of an adjustment there. If that makes sense.
Okay, good, Connor.
How did you get the opportunity to call NFL games?
I was one of the lucky ones, I guess is the best way to, prepared and, took advantage of the opportunities that you got. So from the first college basketball game that I got with CBS, that turned into the next year getting a package of college football, which turned into getting more college basketball, and just doing the best you can by preparing for the game, doing the game, getting the feedback, being in touch with the people who are quote unquote the bosses at the networks. Do your best to be a good person too. I think that character means so much. It's a small industry. You want to treat everybody well, because if you have a reputation of not treating people well, and if you are clearly somebody who there's so many people who can do this job that why would they stick with somebody who they don't want to work with? So being somebody that people want to work with, I do think is priority number one. And then I still remember where I was when I got that call from one of the bosses at CBS saying, we're going to work you into NFL this year, and that was unbelievable. So 5 games through 2 years, and hopefully it's just the beginning. But you don't want to take it for granted. You're grinding away, thinking that every game could be your last, to take the Allen Iverson cliche, because you never want to assume that you're on a certain trajectory or a certain path. You got to put the work in, just like you are in college and just like you are when you're just starting out.
Do you remember you remember it. What is your memory of your first NFL game?
Whew, a blur. It was fast. A lot of production elements in it. It was Titans Saints in the Superdome, which was fortunate for me. I had already called a few games in the Superdome before. The Bayou Classic, Southern versus Grambling, NBC. I've called now 4 of those games. So I've had a couple of those in my bag. So it made at least the environment of where I am, I'm used to that. But it was a 3-man booth with Jason McCourty and Ross Tucker. And it was really fun. The Saints won it. There was a bunch of field goals in the game. At one point I was worried about, am I really going to call an NFL game where there's no touchdowns? Like literally not have a touchdown? And finally, I think in the third quarter, the Saints got one. Derek Carr threw a touchdown. I think it was to Rashid Shaheed, who was the receiver who caught it. But it was a blur. It was fast. With NFL, it's a bigger production. There's a lot more people involved in the process. And I'm on the 7th crew, which is a fraction of what it is if you're on the number 3 crew, or if you're Jim Nantz and Tony Romo on the number 1 crew. I can only imagine the type of resources and things that they have to sort through when you're on the top crew like that. But, for me, that was a major step. And I was just worried about, just nail the basics and don't try to do too much. Do what got you here. And, I survived it and got more. So I guess it wasn't too bad.
That's great. All right, right here.
What's been your favorite game to call?
Ooh, another good one. A match for a gold medal is awesome. So gold medal matches in table tennis, you're at the top of the list. I was fortunate to have a good era of run of women's basketball at Boise State, where the team won 5 conference championship tournaments. So those for the championship calls. There was a championship buzzer beater that I had, so that was on the list of great moments. The minor league baseball team I was with, my first year with them, they won the championship, so that's a top of the list one. And then nationally, the Bayou Classic. My family, we grew up with that game being our Super Bowl. My mom would throw a huge party over in our house in Magnolia. We'd have like fried fish, gumbo, everything New Orleans style, because they went to that game, or at least they went to New Orleans during the Bayou Classic, I think the year before I was born. So that was always like in their brain of, this is a really cool event. Let's do it big. And NBC would treat it like a huge game throughout the 90s. And they still do it now too. But that was kind of the more golden era. Eddie Robinson, Eric Dooley. They just a lot of great. If you look at the NFL Hall of Fame, you'll see the list of players, especially from Grambling, is really high. That's a legendary football program if you're not familiar with it. So the fact that I get to broadcast that game every year is just nuts. Like I still, like my eyes get wide as soon as I see it because it's like, yeah, like the odds of, this family from New Jersey who treated this like the Super Bowl and now their son is broadcasting the game. It's crazy.
And the halftime's pretty good with the band.
Battle of the Bands. Oh, you get to watch, sit back. You don't got to even work that part. You can just lean back and watch. Absolutely.
That's great. All right, let's go all the way to the back. We'll go Sam.
Chris, thanks for coming tonight. Do you write your opens for your broadcast, or do you swing it?
I do write them, or at least have an idea of what we're planning to do. I don't think that I write everyone word for word, or really any of them word for word at this point. But you have an idea of what you want to attack, how you want to do it. It's interesting that I feel like in broadcasting, with play-by-play, you spend so much time worried about the open, which is 2 minutes of a 2.5-hour broadcast where there's a lot of different things that can happen. And everybody, the producers, the director, the play-by-play announcer, the analysts are so worried about the open. But it's true, if you get started right, you're probably more likely to have a good broadcast. Mm-hmm. So there is that importance to it. But if it's a really big game with some significant stakes attached, maybe I'll script out something more specific for it. But I think the most important thing is to be conversational and have that flow to it so you don't want to sound too robotic whenever you script something out.
So I'm going to bring up some here. So Aaron Hook did the game on NBC Sports Philly, ESPN Plus.
My guy.
The women's lacrosse game, Penn against Dartmouth. Skylar Sweeney right over here, freshman. She was sideline. So did you script your open?
So it was similar. I didn't write it word for word, but we got a rundown, and so we knew what we wanted to hit before we did it. But there was no. I've done it in the past where I've typed it out, but I didn't do it this time.
Yeah, I don't think you can do it that way, especially if there is a specific angle that you want to attack. Or again, high stakes to the game, or something clever that you want to work in there. So that approach can work too. But I also think with a lot of the games that I do with CBS, it's like the third game of a triple header, and it's joint in progress. So I spent all this time scripting this open, and all of a sudden we're getting it with 10 minutes to go in the first half, and all that was out the window anyway.
Did you script yours, Skylar? While you were actually doing it?
What?
While you were actually doing it, or they changed some elements?
While I was doing it.
While you were doing it?
Yeah,
okay.
So.
All right. That's television. Right?
Yeah, and the reporter's job, they're terrific at how they're able to do what their job is on the sideline during live games, to be able to deliver reports, get relevant information, interviews, That's not my job. I don't do, and I don't think I would be very good at it. If I was just thrown into it on a whim. What reporters do, sideline reporters, they are incredible.
Yeah, it's a tough job.
Yes.
Good, Sean.
How hard is it to get into research?
Research.
That's a good question. I specifically don't know how hard. Are you saying to get into the research department?
Yeah, at NBC. You mentioned earlier the research staff.
Yeah.
Or NFL for that matter too. I'm sure.
I would think that that all starts with contacting people at those networks and being persistent with follow-ups and everything. But they're always looking for more people to do research and more people to intern. So I can't speak from firsthand experience because I haven't been a part of that area, but I would think that is something to where the more you show a willingness to do, the more likely that you will get a follow-up and someone will get back to you.
And the Olympics in particular.
Yes.
That research was probably invaluable.
Incredibly. From pronunciations So how do you say a person from a certain country, like right, like somebody from Jordan, like how do you say? Like Jordan, like I got like what is the terminology? For
What is the
somebody,
terminology?
I don't actually know the Jordan. There was not many table tennis players from Jordan, so I got to look that one up. But that's why the research team is there.
Jordanian?
Yeah, Jordanian. Like how did? Like,
I would
I'm
go
not sure.
Jordanian.
I think it's Jordan.
Okay.
I think Jordan.
Okay.
All right, thank you. He's a
We got
smart-
experts.
Leo's a smart kid.
We got
We'll go
experts.
with it. We'll go with Leo.
We got
He's a
experts.
smart guy.
It's either that, either ask experts or ask.
Don't
Mike
ask.
Tirico.
Don't ask the guy next. No, never mind. All right. All right. Aiden, go ahead in the back.
What's been the toughest adjustment to like national broadcast games, like from a standpoint of like supposed to call it in the middle?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't think that's been the biggest adjustment for me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because like I never was the like irrational homer sports fan. I wasn't a fan of the Eagles necessarily, and I went to school around a bunch of Eagles fans, so I wasn't like leading the pep rally for the Philadelphia Eagles. Sixers fan and a Phillies fan, but it's not like I couldn't look at a situation and analyze like what the reality is. When it came to broadcasting for Boise State, yeah, you get invested into the stories there, but I never, like when I'm doing a national game, it's not like I'm attached to one of those teams. And even if I'm doing a Boise State game nationally, I can put it into my brain of this is a national broadcast, so you don't like say we and say us and get more excited when one team scores and like sound disappointed when the other team scores. I just was able to, I guess, naturally in my brain put it in one pocket and not break it out when I need to. I'd say the biggest adjustment, though, is when you're doing work for a university or for a team. That's the best way to phrase it. Like, the community is almost behind you in a way, right? Like, they're a part of the team with you. When you're doing a national broadcast, you don't necessarily have that kind of support from the fans of the school or the administration from the school, so you do maybe feel a little bit more isolated in that certain way, and that might take a little bit to get used to. Like, right, like I'm a freelancer, I'm not with this team, and that's a little bit different. But from the broadcasting point of view, there is a huge difference. Like, you don't say we, you don't say us. I don't like to say we and us anyway for if I'm doing a home broadcast. Some bosses like that, some don't. So know who you're working for when that goes. Don't be too critical when you're doing a local broadcast, especially if you have sensitive bosses to that. You don't want to make them upset. When you're doing a national broadcast, you maybe have a little bit more leeway to, as a play-by-play announcer, you don't necessarily want to criticize, but maybe open the door for the analyst to be critical. You don't want to do that if you're working for a team and you're trying to have a good relationship with a coach, right, with the team that you're with. So those are subtle things, but overall, I think it's less of a big challenge than I think people give it credit for. If that makes sense.
I mean, people here in Philadelphia are convinced Joe Buck hates the Eagles,
Yeah.
hates the Phillies.
But it's not the home broadcast that you're used to.
Yeah.
So, if you're used to for 150 games of a baseball season, hearing Tom McCarthy, who's phenomenal, give you the Phillies broadcast, and then you're, for these 10 games, not hearing the Phillies broadcast, you're hearing a national broadcast, sure, it can be a little jarring.
So it seems like basketball is your number one.
Basketball, football.
Okay, so if
they're
you
both-
have option here, you have a chance to do NBA, and it would affect you doing NFL games on CBS. What are you doing?
You really want to ask that question, huh? Did you ask a mom, like, which kid would you save?
Is that what it is? It would be. Well, first of all, it would be a great problem to have.
It'd be an awesome problem to have. Maybe that will come up at some point down the line. It's something that you have to think about. I would say NFL broadcasting is right now, the sports environment that we're in, it's the supreme TV product. There's nothing. What did the NFL rights go for? Like an insane amount. It is the most valuable television property in the United States is the NFL. So if you're associated with NFL television broadcasting at a high level, like there's nothing better than that. But that being said, I love the NBA. I grew up a huge Sixers fan. I was the Allen Iverson kid with cornrows and a shooter sleeve when I played basketball. So, you know, I love hoops. I still play basketball. Like, I'll go play pickup basketball at the Y. I'll go outside. I'm going to be at a spring league this year. So, I love hoops, but I don't know. I would hope to have the life of an Ian Eagle and a Kevin Harlan, and those guys get to do both, right? So do both. Best to try to do both.
Yeah, that'd be pretty. That'd be pretty good. All right, we'll go Keegan here first. Go ahead.
All right, this is probably the most important question you're going to get.
All right,
I'm
let's do it.
No one's asked it sooner. Do you get to keep the CBS blazer after the broadcast?
Yeah, I should have brought it here. I haven't. You know, I had a game yesterday. So I have how many do I have? I have 5. Which I didn't know beforehand. The NFL blazer for CBS is different than the college one.
Really?
Yeah, it's made by a different company, so it's cut a little differently, has a different fit. It's actually a slightly different color. So
you can't wear the college one when you're doing an NFL
Correct.
game.
Yep.
Oh man, don't mess that up.
I can't. Better not.
You're getting the pink slip for a
I'm about
jacket?
to say, if I'm going down, it's not going to be because I wore the wrong blazer. I did leave the blazer in a hotel room once when I had a back-to-back. I had a game, I think it was in New Orleans, and then I had a game somewhere else. I left the blazer in the hotel, and I was freaking out. Like they ended up like rushing a new blazer to me by the time I had the next game, but like. Hopefully that never
Meanwhile, there's
again.
some dude walking around in New Orleans with your blazer.
They're able to get it. I called immediately. The hotel was able to get it and send it back to me. There was also, I left, not nightmare stories, if you want to get into that. So for these games that you go to a city that, you know, you don't have any connection to, so you typically get a rental car. So I think it was a game at Akron. Shoot-arounds are, let's say, a few hours before the game. So let's say the game was at 7, 3 o'clock shoot-around. We go to watch Akron play or watch their practice, speak to the coach. So I'm not dressed for the game yet. So I just decided to leave the blazer in the car, go to shoot-around and everything. I get back to the car, and it turns out, all right, you know what? The crew were going to dinner after shoot-around. So I don't exactly open the door to my car yet. Instead, I hop in, get a ride. We go to this Italian spot, eat some good lasagna. Get back to my car, I realize I don't have my keys. I don't have the keys. They're not in my jacket pocket. Oh no. All right, we're like 2 hours from the game. My blazer's in the car. What am I going to do? I'm like literally thinking like, all right, I called the campus police to think, okay, maybe they can break into the car, but it's a rental, so like I don't know how I have proof that it's actually mine without the keys. I could literally see the blazer hanging up in the car, and luckily it was about an hour before tip where an Akron player found the keys that apparently fell out of my pocket somewhere near the bleachers, and they got me the key. Got in there. I'm like out of breath. I'm panicking. I got the blazer on, got changed up, and we were ready to go. But, whew, that was a close one.
Wow, I never heard. I thought we'd hear a blazer story.
Yeah, the blazer.
That is
in
a
the car,
great blazer
locked it.
story. I love that story. All right, Shane, go ahead.
How does your broadcasting experience in high school prepare you for the professional level?
In high school,
I mean, I know it's just a little bit.
Yeah, I just think the high school, just getting reps, getting comfortable, learning who you are. Like those early things of just trying to figure out what it's like. Do you like it? Are you having fun? Is this something you like to do? Like that's what high school is about. Just trying to figure out, is this something that you would like to do as a career? I wouldn't even necessarily like microanalyze if I'm doing a great job. You know, is this professional level broadcasting? Try to get feedback and shadow is another thing that I think to do in high school. People like Neil over here who have all this experience in television, see if you can, shadow him into the studio one day when he was, on a night where he was doing a Comcast Sportsnet. What was this show called?
Sports Night.
Sports Night. Yeah, on the night where he was doing a sports night. Or shadow Jim Jackson when he's doing a Flyers game in the booth, which I got to do when I was in high school or middle school. And I think that's actually just as valuable as doing a high school game into a tape recorder. But all that stuff helps.
Very good. Right here.
Over your time, who's your favorite announcer to
Work with?
That's like your own favorite kid.
Yeah, I know. That's another one.
You got another kid. You got another kid issue.
Ross Tucker, Jason McCourty, like those are great partners that I could have for an NFL game. There's a reason those are both stars and are rising up. McCourty's now on, I think, the number 4 crew with CBS, and Ross is one of the most respected NFL voices right now that there is. So to work with them is awesome. I worked with Robert Turbin this year a lot for football. He's a great guy. I don't know if you've seen his arms, but like he has gigantic, like superhero arms. Former running back for the Seahawks, but he's just a nice guy. Seahawks fan? Okay, here we go. Now I'm thinking basketball. Steve Lapis, speaking of Philadelphia area ties, he's tremendously just like gifted at it. Like he sees stuff that I don't know how many people can see as quickly as he can see it, and then relay the information in an enthusiastic way. I think I play off his energy. I love when I get to work with him in broadcast because his energy and my energy, I think, can create a good call. But he works a lot with Andrew Catalan, and I think they're one of the best duos who are calling college basketball games these days. And they're getting ready for, might be their like 11th or 12th NCAA tournament together. It's a really good team. Working with Sean O'Neill for table tennis was great because he's an Olympian. He's been in a couple. So when it came to helping learn the game, like I was worried about, is the analyst going to be friendly? Are they going to be understanding? Are they going to be patient? And he was all those things and helpful. So that's another guy who I'd put top of the list of, like, just grateful that I had the chance to work with them.
Have you done on radio or television any NCAA? Have you had a chance to do the NCAA tournament at all?
Not yet.
So that's when you're knocking
on the door. Hopefully one day.
Have you done work for Westwood One at all?
I have. Done a couple of conference championship games for them. Done a couple of regular season basketball games for them. Howie Deneroff, it's just on the phone with him the other day. So.
That's the man to talk to.
Yeah, he's not with them anymore, but he's doing his own thing, and he's one of the most, respected executives in the sports broadcasting industry for a reason.
All right, go ahead, Jordan.
Flow state is a term that is used nowadays, and basketball is such a fast-paced game at times. Sometimes it can get slowed down a little bit towards the end of quarters, or when you really need a clutch bucket. But when do you feel like you're at your best, or where you're in your flow state?
When there's not many whistles and not as many fouls and they're going up and down, you can get into the rhythm of it. It's a great one that you asked because I think that you can be doing this for as long as Mike Tirico has been doing this, or Dick Stockton has done it, or you could be just starting out and there'll be times where you feel like you're in the rhythm, you're in a good flow state. It sounds so old. Flow state. You're in a good rhythm like that, and there's times where you're fighting it. Like the broadcast that I did the other day, I felt like it was more of I was fighting it because part of it was we got the broadcast joint in progress of a conference championship or semifinal game with about 10 minutes left to go in the first half. So you're now in this balance of setting up the game like you would normally, like who's important, why does this matter? You're all, and like, who are these players? Then you're also describing what has happened so far, while also keeping in mind what's going on in front of you at this moment. And normally it's a more natural flow of, okay, beginning of the game you do this, and this you do in the open, and you establish characters for the first couple minutes. But when you're just getting the audience in the middle of the game, how much are you recapping? How much are you setting up? How much are you actually calling what's in front of you right now? And it maybe take you a little bit more to get into that rhythm and that flow. versus if you got it right off the top and it was a natural join in from the very beginning of the game. So to answer the question, it could be what you ate earlier on in that day that, my stomach's growling a little bit more during this broadcast, so it's harder to get into the rhythm because of that. Or it's a little warm in here. Like, why is it so hot? And maybe you're sweating a little bit more. You feel like you are. So there's a lot of different things that I think affect it. And I think what makes a professional is being able to put together quality while the circumstances aren't ideal. And I guess a lot of people can have their best broadcasts when everything lines up tremendously. The production's great. You have great cameras. The producer's phenomenal. The monitors work. They're not flickering. But if you can still put together a professional effort when there's things that are going wrong around you, I do think that speaks to a lot of who you are as a broadcaster.
All right. Go ahead, John.
What's the most bizarre thing that you've witnessed during one of your games that you're called? And also, have you ever wanted to call a soccer game?
I've called college soccer a lot. Bizarre things that have happened during a game. Oh, boy.
You ever lose a monitor?
Oh, yes. That's happened. That's almost not even bizarre. Like, that could happen quite frequently. It goes out for a 5-minute stretch. I'm trying to think of something extreme. I'm sure. Give me a minute. I'll see if I can come up with a good answer by the end. But yeah, there's definitely.
What was the other part of the question?
And it's like, have you ever wanted to broadcast soccer?
Oh, soccer.
Like MLS or even.
Oh, again, college soccer. I've done a lot. I didn't grow up with a soccer background, so I'm not exactly clamoring to call the World Cup as like my ultimate goal. But I would love. I like the challenge of doing sports like that. So if somebody offered me the opportunity to get some soccer games, especially this summer when there's not as much for an announcer who's not heavily involved in baseball, which right now my menu of games doesn't have as much baseball in it, I would love to get some soccer. So yeah.
Very good. Okay. Good.
Who were some of your broadcasters that you wanted to emulate, or who were your idols growing up?
Growing up, and sometimes I feel like I'm still growing up because I have those idols in the same way. I was a Sixers fan, so Mark Zumoff, watching him do Sixers games, incredible, and how he'd be able to broadcast a basketball game. And I still even look back to some of his Sixers games because he could build an audience and have his, I don't want to say cliches because that doesn't usually sound right for broadcasters, but have his Zoom-off-isms that were phenomenal and made it so you were a part of the club of Sixers fans who knew. That's a great way to establish a career in the way he did it that way. I think Mike Tirico is the most fundamentally sound broadcaster. No matter what he does it at such a high level, and it's almost like, I want to say robotic because that's bad. You don't want to be robotic, but he's almost a robot in terms of everything he does is right, and it's he's industry standard. When it comes to energy, like Kevin Harlan, I know you mentioned the voice that he has too. Speaking of great voices, you have Dan Schulman and Jason Benetti. They have phenomenal voices in this industry as well. Ian Eagle, when it comes to setting up a partner, I think he gets the most out of his analysts out of anybody because of his humor and how he's able to involve them and set them up to make great points. Everybody loves working with him. Joe Buck, how he has a feel for the moment. He nails every big moment call that he has. You can learn from anybody. I could listen to your guys' broadcast and pick up some things that, the way you phrase that. Look how you use flow state in the middle of the broadcast like that. I can maybe try to do that a little bit. You can learn something from everybody. I think that's the great part. Have a wide lens. Listen to a lot of broadcasts because you'll never know where you pick something up that could be helpful to you.
All right. Good, Rosmo.
So when you're preparing for a game, no matter what the sport, whether it's for Boise State, whether it's for table tennis or NFL, NBA, or whatever, what are the certain things that you have to know going into a game? What's kind of on your checklist?
Yeah. Biographical information, who they are, height, weight, where they went to college, where they went to high school, background, all that. What their record is, what they've done recently, last 5 games. Are they on fire? Are they cold? What's at stake? Like, what is this team trying to, like, from the fundamental of the broadcast, what are they trying to accomplish in this game? What happens if they win? What happens if they lose? And being able to relay that in different ways. If you have the opportunity to talk to a coach or a player too, that always helps because you can now have additional background stories that you can weave in. But fundamentally, players, who's involved, where they came from, and what the team's trying to accomplish in that game. And then if you can add on the environment, where are you? Are you at a stadium? What's the history of that stadium? What city are you in? What's the history of this team within that city? So you can keep peeling back the layers the more you go, which is why, like, when somebody asks, like, how long does it take for you to prepare for a game? It's like, well, how long do you have? Because you can always find more, right? Do you have a day? Okay, then it'll take me a day. Do you have a week? Okay, then it'll take me a week.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep. Go ahead, Leo.
So, with the advent of social media and seeing clips of like guys like Carlos Jimenez, of him posting himself onto different social media platforms, how much do you use social media in trying to grow your own brand as a broadcaster?
Good question. I think over the last couple of years, I've almost prioritized social media less because I do feel like I have the infrastructure around me at this point to, if I do what I'm supposed to do on the air and then off the air, which comes from like being a good person, trying to do your best networking in the traditional sense, following up with people, all that I have the ability to get to where I want to go. So I've almost, again, like deprioritized social media. Like, I'll promote the game that I'm doing by like retweeting the tweet of like, hey, coming up on CBS Sports Network, it's this team versus this team. But I almost feel like social media, Twitter, Instagram can get you more into trouble than it can get you the next job, especially for where I'm at. So there's also this fact that maybe you don't want to hear what everybody has to say on those. So if you get disconnected in that way and it's harder to do than it's said, then easier said than done. And like, all right, just unplug, don't listen to what anybody says on social media. But we know how difficult that can be. But I still do think that there is value. I look at what like John Fanta has done with the Big East, with his connection to the Big East, and how he's used social media to make himself the next Bill Raftery. He's not an analyst, he's not a former coach, but he's, after Raftery, he's the most well-known figure covering Big East basketball. And he's done that because of social media and how he was able to build that up. And
John Rothstein, too.
Yeah, John Rothstein, nationally with the whole scene. Like, he's, the different tweets say John Rothstein is one of the nicest people. He's incredible. His knowledge base of college basketball. And again, he displays that on social media. Depends on what you want to do within the industry too. I think play-by-play is less dependent on being a social media guy with millions and millions of followers than it would be to be the next Stephen A. Smith, where you want to be an opinion guy. For that, you probably need to market yourself on social media in that way. I'm never, I guess, was as comfortable self-promoting, but that's wrong. Like, you shouldn't have that attitude for a lot of it. You have to get comfortable promoting yourself, because if you don't promote yourself, who else will?
Okay, very good. Go right here, Mikey.
Was there ever a sport you really wanted to broadcast, like when you were younger?
Yeah, I wanted to broadcast, the NFL, the NBA. Like, I would love to call a Super Bowl. And there's only a small fraction of people who have been able to do that. So we'll always strive to get to that level, but still a long ways to go. Sports that I haven't done yet that I kind of wanted to do growing up. Like, I've done baseball, but I haven't done Major League Baseball. Like, that would be fun to like call a Phillies game one day as a huge Phillies fan. Playoff baseball, there's nothing like the drama of playoff baseball. So to get the chance to call that would be fantastic. But as to just like sports, maybe give me like a NASCAR race one day. You know, I live in Charlotte, so maybe I haven't done anything with car related, but like that could be a sport to check off the list that I haven't done.
Okay, so yeah, you just mentioned you live in Charlotte. So
Yeah.
why Charlotte?
So my wife is from Boise. She lived there her whole life. We met when I was in Boise. So she graduated from nursing school about 1.5 years ago, which opened up the door to where do we want to go. I was getting more national stuff, wasn't really doing as much with Boise State. So we made a pros and cons list because we didn't really have one place where we had to be. My family's east, her family's in Idaho. So Charlotte had good weather, relatively speaking. Good airport. The airport can get me to a lot of different places quickly. It's got an NBA team. It's got an NFL team. So the professional sports is there. So it just had a lot of pros and not as many cons. So as I said, we're not necessarily rooted there, so we can move if we wanted to.
How's it worked out?
We like it. We like it a lot. She loves her job. She likes where she works. I've been able to get to Philly a lot more to visit mom and dad than I did when I lived in Boise, Idaho. So, yeah, it's been great.
Well, we're very thankful that you're here, too.
Yep.
He had a game here, this area. Chris and I talked at the beginning of the year and beginning of the semester, and thought maybe April, but it worked out. So, and I want to thank Greg Frith, who was going to be here tonight. He's coming later from NFL Films, which we'll bring him as well in April. Justin, you had your hand.
Yeah. How many resumes or tapes have you sent in until someone actually gave you a shot?
Ooh, a lot. Now, before somebody gave me my first opportunity out of school was Idaho Falls, Idaho, from Syracuse. But I applied to a bunch of minor league baseball jobs because the way the calendar works, graduation in May, baseball season follows. So yeah, I sent tapes everywhere. And now while I was in Boise, I was sending a bunch of tapes, whether it's to different schools, to the Learfield people. I was sending tons of resumes, tapes. Hey, can you listen to this? Where can I get better? I know you don't have an opening right now, but if you ever were to have an opening, what would you be looking for? That was a large part of it. So I think that's an ongoing process.
Now you have an agent.
Now I have an agent, yes.
Who's your agent?
Boomer Dangle, CSC. They're based out of Atlanta.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Was that a tough decision?
No, with agents, this was a group that sort of found me. And I wasn't really seeking an agent when I got it. They kind of came to me and presented some opportunities, and they helped with these connections that have led to more of the network stuff. But it really wasn't a decision of, I'm looking for an agent right now. Where should I go? This was more of they got to be familiar with who I was and presented themselves to me.
Nice. All right. Go ahead, Sam.
Okay, at CBS, do you guys have almost a quote-unquote Facebook group? Not a Facebook group, but different announcers and reporters that you can reach out to for advice and just connect with?
Yeah, I have the contact info of all the people who are on the air, and I think the best way to answer that is they have seminars at the beginning of seasons where everybody comes from wherever they are in the country, meet up in New York, and we spend a couple of days where the NFL comes in and goes over the rules, and the bosses come in and explain what the production goals are for this year, go over what was great about CBS this past year, not just with sports, but with the other shows as well, what we're promoting this year. So they have basically a couple of days where that happens. And then all the play-by-play announcers, all the analysts, all the production folks, we all meet up. I think in college basketball, that used to be in person. They haven't had it in person for a little bit, but they do it virtually if they don't do it in person. So, yeah, you get a little bit of a feel for who you're working with, who's on your team. So that's how they do it.
Go ahead.
Lots of traveling, lots of prep work and all that sort of stuff when it comes to doing this. I just wanted to know, how do you keep your mind and your body ready?
Great question. Challenge for sure. You want to eat right, but it's hard to eat right when you're in an airport so much and you're not getting a chance to cook your own meals, right? Discipline. For this I guess, when did I join? Like in August, I signed up for like the Orange Theory gym. Like I wasn't a gym class person, but I was like, I need to find a way to get a workout in, but do it efficiently. Like I used to play pickup basketball as the way I'd stay in shape. But with pickup basketball, like you could play in one game and then sit for an hour. Especially like in Charlotte, like in Boise, you could get into a game quicker. Charlotte, it's a lot more difficult because, you know, there's a lot of people waiting by the side to play. I'm like, I can't sit here for 3 hours to play, to get like 2 runs in. Like this isn't working. So like, how can I efficiently get a workout in? So I never thought I'd sign up for a gym class like that. And now that's kind of the way I work out this time of year. But you got to prioritize it. And it's difficult throughout. I'd say the more confident that you are on the air that like, okay, I don't have to over prepare for this game. Like I know what I need to know. I know the important stuff. I can take this hour to go to the gym, right? Like, and not feel guilty about it. You have to get yourself into that mind frame, or else you're right, it could get to be a battle that you'll never win.
Let's end on this note. Advice. What advice would you give these guys?
Number one, like remember who you're in this room with. Like I kind of said it earlier, but like some of my best friends in the industry are the people who I went to school with, who challenged me, who we put in the long hours together, because you just want to maintain those relationships. Number two, I highlighted it before, but be somebody that other people want to work with. Like, there's a lot of people who are talented broadcasters. I don't necessarily like to think of myself as more talented than the next person, but I know it could all go away if somebody thinks that, oh, that Chris Lewis, man, it's difficult. Like, I just hated that experience. Then they're not going to use me, right? Like, I'm not somebody who's like, I'm not Joe Buck, right? Like, my dad wasn't in this industry. I wasn't born into this, so they could get rid of me if they want. So be somebody who other people want to be invested in. And then the third, have fun. Like, don't lose the fact that this is fun. For me, this is sports. I grew up a huge sports fan. I get to talk about sports for a job. I know there'll be challenges, there'll be difficulties, there'll be disappointments, there'll be jobs that you didn't get. You'll be wondering why this person got that and not me. But if you can just enjoy when you're on the air, or enjoy yourself at the game, or whatever thing that you are doing in this industry, you can continue to find the fun in it. That'll keep you in it. So that for me is, again, one of the most important things.
Let's give Chris a round of applause. Can you just chair over there? All right, so Chris, these guys have been waiting patiently.
Yep. Oh yeah, here we go.
So now we're going to find out the fate of some of these guys. First of all, I want to say this. If you want to get to this level, just keep working hard. I think what Chris said there, those 3 items, he's spot on. And I think in this program, we make sure we give everybody an opportunity to be able to reach your goals. Having said that, this year was the most difficult year we had selecting people for roles. I just need you to know that. It was by far the most difficult year. It was very hard. So we'll start with a couple of, first of all, the general interns. Let me get that off. Is that gone? Yeah, there it is. The general interns, I mentioned to you in the past, we used to have probably promotions, a marketing, there was game ops. They moved them all into one internship, and now there's 10 positions. We have 4 of them, and for Tess, James, Sarah, and Connor. I see Sarah here. Anybody else here from that? No. But congratulations. That internship is awesome. I told Sarah this, it's going to be awesome because you're going to have a chance to work 40 hours a week, $15 an hour. You're a college student.
Let's
you're going to work,
go.
you know, it's going to be great. All right. Field timing coordinator. There's 3, Sean, Jackson, and Curtis. I don't see anyone here. I don't see those 3. Oh, there's Curtis. Okay, so congratulations. You did that last year too, right? So congratulations on that. Hey, I'm going to give Joe a shout out. I don't see Joe. Joe, are you here? I don't see Joe. So Joe, 2 years ago, was the photographer for The Wit and just started hanging around.
Yeah.
The Wit is the college newspaper. So we have a beat writers. They get an experience as a beat writer. So as a he was the photographer for the campus newspaper that has the beat to cover the Blue Rocks. And Joe just kind of hang around, and then they go, who is this guy that's hanging around? Then the next year they gave him more stuff. Well, now he's got an actual title of digital assistant. Awesome. So congratulations to Joe. All right, these are the 12 names for students that are going to be working TV production. And here's what happened. There's 3 new names on there. Jacob, Hunter, and Steven. We're not on it last year. They've been added this year. So that crew is now at 12. I think they use, Christina, what would you say, 7 to 8 a game? Yeah. Okay. So they're there working. But all those, I see Owen right next to you, and there's others here in the room. So congratulations. You guys obviously did a good job last year. This is the WIT staff. I want to congratulate Dakota Eastman right over here. Where's Dakota? Congratulations. Dakota's new. And Hannah. Is Hannah here? Hannah, see? I don't see Hannah here. Okay, so Tyler's going to be the editor. Dakota, Nick, and Nick are going to be the writers. Hannah's going to be the photographer. So Hannah's gotten a lot of opportunities. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty here because this is where auditions and also people who applied for positions are getting into it. The radio host and producers, Gerasimos, congratulations. Greg here? Mazzo here? He's what? Oh, he's on the radio station. Yeah. Congratulations to Greg. And also Logan Stewart right here. Congratulations. And our Brainiac right there, Leo. All right, so they work as producers and hosts in the studio. Radio station's right on the other side of that wall.
Nice.
So that's okay. So we have freshman, sophomore, freshman. No, you're junior. Junior and freshman. Oh no, junior. It's your first year, Leo. Relax. I know. Yeah, I know. You transferred. So congratulations, you guys. Nice. Now up next. Now we get to the broadcasters. This is like the selection show.
Okay, here we go.
We build up the excitement.
We got Greg Gumbel over here.
We build the excitement up. Okay, here we go. So up first, congratulations, Jacob Clark. Notice the year. He's a freshman.
Wow.
A freshman. Congratulations, Jacob. Up next, Owen Colwell. Owen is a returning broadcaster. He's got one more year with us, so congratulations, Owen. We now have Aiden Doherty in the back. A senior. This will be his second year doing Blue Rocks games. Up next, we have Jordan Weisinger. This is Jordan's first time. He's a junior as well. And lastly, congratulations, Alan Wiley. I know some of you in this room are going to be disappointed. Again, we had more than 20 audition for the role for these 5 spots. And I just want you to know that you all did a really good job. It was very difficult, but I want to thank you all for applying and thank you all for auditioning. And let's have a great year. You all, if you check your email, you have an email that came out at 7 o'clock, and we'll put it out on social as well, so people will be seeing it. Thank you again, Chris, for being here.
No, thank you guys.
We do not have Pizza with the Pros next week because you're on spring break, so enjoy it. And then we'll be back here again on the 24th, all right?
Feel free to share my email with anybody.
All right. You can email them. There you go. All right. Thank you, everybody.